Hi, this is Arthur from the Minute Review Show, and today I would like to talk about how you would choose a Chinese restaurant. To give you a little background about myself, I am Chinese American, born in New York, and I have many, many years of going to Chinese restaurants. Went to many restaurants as a kid, and I've seen how things have changed from the 1980s, 90s, to the aughts to 2010 and even up to now. And things through the years have changed quite a bit. The restaurants of old tended to be more of the Cantonese and Southern Chinese variety. And now there's a plethora of Chinese restaurants that you could choose. These are located either in the cities, centralized parts of the cities, or you can find them in suburban Chinatowns or suburban Asian communities. Now, what I like to do first is to talk a little bit about what you would find in the Chinatowns, because I think maybe that's where most people would like to start looking for restaurants. When you're choosing a restaurant in Chinatown, you're going to probably look for the classic Cantonese, Southern Chinese foods. Those are the ones that are usually the oldest restaurants in the neighborhood, and you will find that some are newer, some are older. The ones that are older tend to have more of the recipes that are handed down through the decades. They focus on Cantonese food, which is a lighter, a more it's a food that's focused more on the taste of the original ingredients. There aren't many sauces involved. Basically, it's just salt, soy sauce, and a couple of other savory flavorings. The food that we have now, if you go to Chinatown, go to a newer restaurant, they could be from any region in China these days. It could be the Northeast, it could be Shanghainese cuisine, it could be Sichuan cuisine. So those, I would say, tend to be the newer restaurants. Not a total rule, but that's what I've observed. Now, the other places that you might go to find Chinese food is the large Asian suburbs of many different cities around the United States. These restaurants tend to be newer. They tend to be nicer in terms of seating, in terms of the atmosphere, the vibe of the restaurant. And they also tend to be very diverse, not only Southern Chinese, but everything that you can imagine. Now, for some reason, I don't know if this is just my observation, but tend to find that restaurants in the suburbs tend to have fancier menus. I don't know why, maybe it's just my perception. But fancier meaning that they tend to have more pictures, they tend to have better graphics on their menus. But in general, you'll find the more comfortable menus to read. Now, the next thing that we should use to choose a Chinese restaurant is to also consider the type of Chinese food. Now, nowadays, since the Chinese immigrants who are coming to the United States come from all over China, you're going to have a really good variety of Chinese food. But I would say that the two most popular Chinese types of food is Cantonese, still Cantonese, which is the original Chinese in the United States. And the second most popular, I feel, is definitely Sichuanese food. Now, Sichuanese food is the type of food that has a lot of mala, a lot of spiciness, a lot of tingliness, some preserved veg in that type of food. Now, depending on what your mood is for, if you want to avoid spicy food and if you like savory food, go for the Cantonese food because that's what they'll give you. But if you like a bolder taste and things that are less familiar to most Americans, definitely go for Sichuanese food. But I have to say that the Sichuanese type of food is definitely catching up to Cantonese. because there are a lot of things that are creeping up into our collective conscious, just like chili crisp. Chili crisp is now a really popular thing in America, and I think it's making huge inroads, Sichuanese food, that's for sure. Now, the other thing that you should consider in choosing a Chinese restaurant is what kind of vibe do you want? Okay, now I may have spoken about this earlier, but the kind of vibe that you would want in a Chinese restaurant is more of a modern vibe. I think the expectations of Chinese food these days, or Chinese restaurants in general, is that the restaurant should look more modern. It could be dark, it could be lighter, but it just gives you a feel of vibrancy, a feel of just you just feel very alive when you go to these restaurants. Whereas the opposite of that are legacy type Chinese restaurants where they would have more of the decor of maybe of a time gone by. Like, for example, these legacy restaurants could be found in the inner city type Chinatown restaurants where you would have an older restaurant. The mom and pop there may not feel the need to change their decor, their tables and chairs. So that's the type of atmosphere that you're going to get if you go to more of the legacy restaurants. The other thing to consider is service. Now, you could probably put service into main categories. I would say the legacy Chinese restaurants, the ones that's been around for many years, the legacy restaurants will tend to have, I believe, better service, only because they tend to have fewer employees and they tend to be smaller establishments. So if you like that homey type of atmosphere where you might be able to talk to the waiters or maybe even the owners, you should go to the smaller legacy type Chinese restaurants. Nowadays, there's a lot of corporatizing of Chinese restaurants, and a lot of chains are coming from China, from Hong Kong, from Taiwan. They're coming to the U.S. and what happens is that you tend to have large staffs. You tend to have bigger kitchens, bigger everything, and it might be more professional. You might get more professional service by going to these types of restaurants. You should just choose what type of service you want. Some service in the larger Chinese restaurants may not be that good either, because sometimes the workers might be overworked, or maybe, who knows, but sometimes it's you can see that there's gruff service at Chinese restaurants. I wouldn't blame anyone if they perceive service in Chinese restaurants as being rushed. But when you think about the functional value of going to a restaurant, you're going there to eat, you're not going there to socialize with the wait staff. Just keep that in mind, because some of these restaurants, the workers are very overworked, and like, for example, I'll give you an example, like a dim sum restaurant. If you don't get a smile from someone who's working in a dim sum restaurant, that doesn't mean that they're unfriendly. It just might mean that they're working very hard and they need to get to the next table. They have many demands that are placed on them. So I have to say that some Chinese restaurants are known for that. So you can give them a pass. Just keep the eye on the prize, which is you're there for good food, and they'll bring it to you, despite whatever service you experience. Now, the next way of choosing a Chinese restaurant would be to take a look at reviews. Now, there are so many review websites now, but I'll just hit on two that I normally use. I use Yelp, and I use the Google reviews that would come up during a Google search. Now, what do you actually look at when you read these reviews? The first thing I would do is that I would take a look at who's doing the reviewing. Are they a local? And also, how do they write the review? Now, when you look at a review, you definitely need to look at some clues as to see if they're genuine or not. The way that I look at them is that I would see if they make any observations about the restaurant that are only evident to someone who's actually been to that restaurant. So what I would take a look at is maybe somebody describing the decor of the restaurant, maybe the location of the restaurant, maybe how many waiters are in the restaurant. Just small little details like that. That could tell you whether the review is genuine or not. I also tend to ignore the reviews that are overly filled with praise or overly negative, because to me, nothing can be totally negative and nothing can be totally positive. Because when you hear something that is totally negative or totally positive, to me that means that it's propaganda. That they're trying to convince you one way or another that this place is good or bad. I don't think anything is totally good or totally bad. But so read the reviews carefully. The next thing that you should do when you take a look at any of these reviews is to take a look at the pictures, what all the contributors to Yelp, to TripAdvisor, to Google, what they upload onto the review. Now, a good thing to do is to take a look at the pictures that the restaurant uploads. And nowadays, a lot of restaurants upload their own upload their own pictures, and compare that with what the diners have uploaded. In a good restaurant, most of those pictures will match, and therefore you would know that it's a genuine review, and you're really going to get what the restaurant wants you to see as the genuine article and how they put their best foot forward. If it matches, then you know there's a certain level of quality. Whether the food tastes good or bad, that's another question. So the next thing that I would look at in the photos is, does it match? Now we're talking about Chinese restaurants. Does it match what that type of food would look like traditionally? Let's say that you like Chinese roast pork, which is the red pork that a lot of people are familiar with. You take a look at that red pork, and then you compare that with the picture, and if it doesn't quite appear to be what the stereotype of red pork or roast pork is, I would definitely hesitate. So take a look at the pictures, see if they match what the dish should look like, and just act accordingly. And another item that you should look at in these reviews is that there are usually menus or images of menus on the reviews. Now, let's say that you take a look at a menu and you see a restaurant not isolating the Chinese American food from the regular Chinese food, or they don't segment the menu in a proper way where you can tell what is the authentic Chinese food from the Chinese American food, then that's sort of like a flag, because what you want to do is that you want to go to a Chinese restaurant that doesn't try to fool you into thinking that Chinese American food, which is one genre, is actually, let's say, Cantonese food or Sichuan food. The ones that mix the both, I don't think they're good restaurants. So if you examine the menus on these review websites, take a look at that, because that's going to indicate to you whether the food is genuine or not. If they mix it, it probably isn't genuine food. And I don't know. I mean, that is just a criteria that I have. Finally, now let's walk away from the reviews. Let's also take a look at the pictures again. Okay, in these pictures, you should also look for telltale signs. If you want to have, let's say that you want to choose between Chinese American food or quote unquote genuine Chinese food, you would have to look at the ingredients in the photos. So if you see a lot of ingredients like carrots and bell peppers and large chunks of onions, that's probably Chinese American food. If you see things that are not recognizably American, let's say you have bok choy, you have gailan, or you have Chinese broccoli, things like that in a picture, then 9 times out of 10, that restaurant is going to be true to the genre of Chinese food, meaning the quote unquote authentic Chinese food. So just take a careful look at the pictures, and you can tell what you're going to be getting. So in conclusion, I would say that now with all this information that's on the internet, you can pretty much easily tell what you're going to be getting by looking at reviews, by looking at pictures, and by looking at menus, and where you're going, the location that you're headed to when you go to a Chinese restaurant. So I hope this helps you choose a Chinese restaurant. During my research on my channel, where I'm looking for a Chinese restaurant, I'm looking at exactly those criterias that I just gave to you. I'll be honest, and I tend to avoid restaurants that are quote unquote Chinese American restaurants, because to me, those types of restaurants have already been standardized, and there's just a lot of those kinds of restaurants. And generally, I'm not interested in going to those kinds of restaurants. I like adventure, and I like variety, and that expands beyond Chinese food. I would say every type of restaurant, from Thai, Vietnamese, American places, and it just makes life more interesting when you have a true variety. You eat something that that is new to you, and it just makes things better. So thank you for watching this video. I feel a little nervous. This is my first talking video, and I want to thank everyone who has built my channel up to where it is now. And I always welcome comments and suggestions, which I highly value. And I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't truly interested in food of all types. And thank you for watching the Minute Review Show.